All right. So let's dive into Litecoin today.
Good.
And I know you're probably thinking, Bitcoin, got it, Litecoin. Huh?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you hear about the Beatles and then someone says, oh, hey, check out this band, the Boodles.
Yeah.
But coin hitting that crazy $100,000 mark.
Yeah, it's definitely got people talking, especially with Litecoin kind of quietly climbing at the same time.
Exactly. So we got to find out what's driving that, what makes Litecoin unique.
Think of this as like a Litecoin crash course. No technical jargon, just the need-to-know stuff.
I like it. So Litecoin's not exactly new to the crypto scene, is it?
Nope, not at all. It actually launched back in 2011.
Wow, 2011.
So yeah, it predates a lot of the altcoins we see.
That's what we're here to unpack.
What's interesting is that they're both cryptocurrencies, right? And they're both built on this revolutionary idea of blockchain.
Okay.
Think of it like a digital ledger that everyone can see and no one can tamper with.
Okay.
And this is where the gold and silver analogy comes in.
Right.
Bitcoin being the first and the most well-known. It's like gold.
Uh-huh.
It's scarce and valuable. Litecoin, on the other hand, is more abundant, like silver, but it still holds its own kind of value.
So Litecoin's kind of like Bitcoin's younger sibling trying to make a name for itself?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. In fact, Litecoin is actually a fork of Bitcoin.
Interesting.
Meaning it's built on similar code, but with some key modifications. Remember how sometimes like your internet connection feels like it's running through molasses?
Yeah.
Well, Litecoin was designed to speed things up.
Okay.
Its transactions get confirmed in about 2.5 minutes.
Right.
Compared to Bitcoin's 10 minutes.
So if I'm grabbing coffee, paying with Litecoin would be way faster.
Exactly. And another thing, Litecoin can handle more transactions because there's a larger supply cap.
Okay.
84 million Litecoins compared to Bitcoin's 21 million.
Wow. Big difference.
Yeah, think of it like having more lanes on a highway.
Okay.
Things just flow smoother.
Okay, starting to see why Litecoin's getting called Bitcoin Lite.
Right.
But it's not just a copycat, right?
Yeah.
It's got its own unique advantages.
Absolutely. It's implemented some pretty cutting-edge tech.
Like what?
Well, one is called SegWit,
Okay.
which is a bit like optimizing how information is packed into each transaction, making things even faster and cheaper.
Okay.
Then there's the Lightning Network,
All right.
which is like creating express lanes on that highway,
Oh, wow.
allowing for near instantaneous payments with minimal fees.
So Litecoin is going for that fast and affordable niche.
Yeah, you could say that.
But what about security? I keep
okay.
hearing about these halving events
Right.
and how they impact price.
Yeah, security is paramount, and Litecoin, like Gitcoin, relies on something called proof of work.
Okay.
Imagine a huge online puzzle-solving competition where people with powerful computers are racing to solve these complex math problems.
Yeah, okay.
The winner gets to add a block of transactions to the blockchain and is rewarded with Litecoin.
Sounds intense.
It is.
But what does halving have to do with all of this?
Every 4 years, the reward for solving those puzzles gets cut in half.
Really?
This happened just last August, going from 12.5 to 6.25 Litecoins per block.
Wow.
It's like a built-in scarcity mechanism. The slower the coins are created, the more potentially valuable they become over time.
Interesting. But I'm guessing this also shakes things up in terms of price speculation.
You bet. There were some pretty contrasting opinions about this recent halving event.
Like what?
Well, Michael Vanderpop, a well-known crypto analyst, was super optimistic predicting Litecoin could hit $200.
Okay.
Then you've got Rect Capital, another prominent analyst, who painted a much more cautious picture, even hinting at a potential 70% drop.
Wow. That's quite a range.
Yeah.
So how do we make sense of all this conflicting information?
That's the tricky thing about predicting the future, especially in the world of crypto.
Yeah.
There are so many factors at play,
Right.
and we only have data from a few past halving events, which makes drawing firm conclusions difficult.
Okay, so no crystal ball for Litecoin's future.
Not yet.
But we've got a solid understanding of what it is, how it works,
Yes.
and how it differs from Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But the big question remains, could it ever reach Bitcoin level values?
Well, there's a massive price gap. Right now, we're talking Bitcoin near $98,000 and Litecoin hovering around $100.
Right, and while it's true that Bitcoin enjoys that, first mover advantage and widespread recognition,
Right.
there's more to consider than just, that initial head start.
Right, like maybe those unique features we were talking about.
Yeah.
If Litecoin really nails it on speed, low costs,
Mm-hmm.
and even privacy with that Mimblewimble thing. Could that shift the balance?
It absolutely could.
Okay.
Remember, the crypto landscape is constantly evolving.
Right.
Right now, Bitcoin is the king of the hill when it comes to overall market value. But that doesn't mean things will stay that way forever. Litecoin has some serious strengths that could propel it forward.
So are we saying that Litecoin could actually challenge Bitcoin's dominance?
It's not about one winning over the other.
Okay.
It's more about recognizing that different cryptocurrencies can serve different purposes.
Bitcoin, with its limited supply and established reputation, might be seen as a store of value, like digital gold. But Litecoin, with its focus on speed and affordability, is aiming to be more like the digital cash we use for everyday transactions.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like I might keep my savings in gold, but I use cash for my daily coffee and groceries.
Yeah.
So Litecoin's going for that practical everyday use case.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
If Litecoin can become the go-to cryptocurrency for things like online shopping, paying bills, or even sending remittances overseas, its value could skyrocket.
Because if more people are actually using it,
Yeah.
the demand goes up, and that usually drives up the price.
That's the basic idea. And don't forget about the potential for Litecoin to be included in ETFs.
ETFs.
Which are like baskets of assets that you can buy and sell on stock exchanges.
Okay.
If Litecoin gets listed on a major ETF, it would make it way easier for regular investors to get on board, which could further boost its price.
Hold on, ETFs. You're saying I could potentially invest in Litecoin just like I buy stocks in a company.
That's the potential here. It would make Litecoin much more accessible to a wider range of investors, opening up a whole new avenue for growth. And remember, Litecoin has been around for a while now. It's a well-established cryptocurrency with a proven track record, which makes it a strong contender for ETF inclusion.
Wow. Starting to see why people are excited about Litecoin.
Yeah.
But let's be real, nothing's guaranteed, right?
Right.
What are some of the challenges that Litecoin faces on its path to, well, maybe not Bitcoin level values, but at least significantly higher values?
Of course, there are always challenges.
Sure.
One of the biggest hurdles for any cryptocurrency is achieving widespread adoption. Right now, Bitcoin is still the most recognized and accepted crypto, but Litecoin is making strides.
Okay.
We're seeing more and more online businesses starting to accept Litecoin as payment, and as awareness grows, so does the potential for wider adoption.
So it's kind of like a snowball effect.
Uh-huh.
The more people use it, the more businesses accept it, and the cycle continues.
Exactly. And as I mentioned before, that potential ETF listing could really accelerate this process by making Litecoin more readily available to a wider investor base. But there are other factors to consider, like regulatory uncertainty. Governments around the world are still figuring out how to approach cryptocurrencies,
Right.
and that can create some volatility in the market.
Makes sense. It's a whole new world, and everyone's trying to figure out the rules of the game.
Yeah.
But let's go back to that amazing Mimblewimble upgrade for a minute.
Okay.
Privacy in online transactions is becoming a huge deal, and Litecoin seems to be at the forefront of that with this technology.
Absolutely. Mimblewimble is a game changer. It basically allows users to make transactions on the Litecoin network with a much higher level of privacy. It's like sending a letter in a sealed envelope. Only the sender and recipient know what's inside. This could be a major draw for people who are concerned about their financial privacy in an increasingly digital world.
So it's like a digital shield protecting your transactions from prying eyes.
Exactly. And this focus on privacy could attract a whole new segment of users who are looking for a cryptocurrency that prioritizes confidentiality.
Okay, so we've got speed affordability, a solid track record, potential for ETF listing, and now enhanced privacy. Litecoin seems to be checking all the boxes. But before we get carried away, let's talk about risks. Crypto is known for being pretty volatile, right?
Absolutely. The cryptocurrency market is still relatively young and prone to fluctuations. Prices can go up and down quickly, and it's important for investors to understand and manage those risks. Diversification is key. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, even if that basket seems promising.
So even though Litecoin has a lot going for it, we need to approach it with a level head and a healthy dose of caution.
Exactly. Cryptocurrency can be an exciting and potentially rewarding investment, but it's important to do your research, understand the risks involved, and invest responsibly.
Solid advice. Now, I'm curious about the community aspect of Litecoin. I know that a lot of cryptocurrencies have really passionate communities behind them. What's the Litecoin community like?
The Litecoin community is one of its biggest strengths. It's incredibly active and supportive, with developers, miners, and enthusiasts from all over the world collaborating to advance the technology and spread awareness. This strong sense of community fosters innovation and helps to drive adoption.
So it's not just about the technology itself, but also the people who believe in it and are working to make it succeed.
Exactly. And that's what makes Litecoin so compelling. It's not just a piece of code, it's a movement, a community of people who are passionate about building a better financial future.
That's a great point. And speaking of building a better financial future, earlier, we touched on the fact that Litecoin is open source. What does that mean, and why is it important?
That's a really important aspect of Litecoin. Open source means that the code that makes Litecoin work is publicly available for anyone to see, review, and contribute to. This transparency fosters trust and allows developers from around the world to collaborate on improving the technology.
So it's like a global team of developers constantly working to refine and enhance the Litecoin software.
You got it. And this open source approach is one of the core principles of the cryptocurrency movement, a commitment to decentralization, transparency, and community-driven development.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
It really highlights the collaborative spirit of the crypto world.
Absolutely. And it's this collaborative spirit that has led to so many incredible innovations in the cryptocurrency space, and it continues to drive the evolution of cryptocurrencies like Litecoin.
It really is amazing to see how this whole crypto world is built on collaboration.
Yeah.
And a shared vision for a more decentralized future. Speaking of which, earlier we were talking about how Litecoin's creator, Charlie Lee,
Right.
wanted to make a cryptocurrency that was faster and more accessible than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'm curious to dig a bit deeper into that. What were some of the specific changes that he made to achieve that?
Well, one of the most significant changes was the choice of hashing algorithm.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about proof of work and those puzzle-solving competitions?
Yeah.
Well, the algorithm determines the type of puzzle that needs to be solved. Bitcoin uses SHA-256, which by the time Litecoin came around, was already being dominated by these specialized mining machines called ASICs.
Right. Those superpowered computers built specifically for mining Bitcoin.
Exactly. Charlie Lee wanted Litecoin to be more accessible to everyday users.
Okay.
So he chose a different algorithm called Script.
Okay.
Script was designed to be more memory intensive, making it more difficult for ASICs to dominate the mining process.
So it was like leveling the playing field,
Yeah.
allowing people to mine Litecoin using their regular computers or even graphics cards.
That was the idea. It was all about making Litecoin a more decentralized and community-driven cryptocurrency.
But you mentioned earlier that ASICs eventually caught up with Script.
Right.
So is Litecoin mining still as accessible as it used to be?
It's not as egalitarian as it was in the early days, but it's still more accessible than Bitcoin mining. Litecoin miners tend to use a wider variety of hardware,
Okay.
which helps to maintain a degree of decentralization.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've got the hashing algorithm, which impacts how Litecoin is mined.
Right.
What other key differences set Litecoin apart from Bitcoin?
Another important difference is block generation time.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about Litecoin being faster than Bitcoin?
Uh-huh.
Well, that speed comes down to how quickly new blocks of transactions are added to the blockchain.
Okay, remind me. How does that work again?
Imagine the blockchain as a giant ledger,
Okay.
and each block is like a page in that ledger.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin has a block time of about 10 minutes,
Okay.
meaning it takes roughly 10 minutes for a new set of transactions to be verified and added to the blockchain.
And Litecoin.
Litecoin has a block time of just 2.5 minutes, which is 4 times faster.
Wow.
This means transactions get confirmed more quickly,
Okay.
making it much more practical for things like point-of-sale payments.
It's like the difference between waiting in a long line at the grocery store versus zipping through the express lane.
Exactly. And that speed advantage is a key part of Litecoin's appeal for everyday transactions.
Now, I remember you saying that Litecoin will eventually have 84 million coins in circulation, while Bitcoin is capped at 21 million. Doesn't that larger supply make Litecoin less valuable?
That's a common misconception.
Okay.
While scarcity can definitely play a role in determining value, it's not the only factor. Bitcoin has a much larger market cap and a much higher level of adoption right now. It's the OG cryptocurrency,
Right.
and that gives it a certain prestige.
So it's kind of like the difference between a vintage Rolex and a brand new smartwatch.
Yeah.
The Rolex might be rarer and more valuable as a collector's item, but the smartwatch might be more practical for everyday use.
That's a great analogy. And remember, Litecoin has a lot going for it. Speed, affordability, a strong development team, a vibrant community, and a commitment to innovation with upgrades like Mimblewimble.
Right.
All of these factors can contribute to its value over time.
So while Bitcoin might be the gold standard, so to speak,
Right.
Litecoin is making a strong case for itself as a practical and valuable cryptocurrency for the digital age.
Exactly. And who knows what the future holds. The cryptocurrency landscape is constantly evolving, and Litecoin, with its focus on speed, accessibility, and innovation, is well positioned to play a leading role in that evolution.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
We've explored the origins of Litecoin,
Yeah.
the technical innovations that set it apart, and its potential to become a major player in the world of everyday transactions. And who knows, maybe one day those $100 Litecoins will be worth a whole lot more.
It's certainly an exciting time to be following the cryptocurrency space.
Mhm.
And for anyone who wants to continue exploring Litecoin and its potential, there's a wealth of information available online. The Litecoin Foundation website is a great place to start.
Absolutely. So to our listeners, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring the fascinating world of cryptocurrency.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.